Welcome to this week's West Report. Coming up, I'll explain why students were sent passes in homeroom.
I'm Chris Hillman. West has new state champions. I'll tell you who later on.
On a previous West Report, we reported that the guidance counselors visited all freshman, sophomore, and junior classes to talk about scheduling for next year. Well, scheduling has begun. Students have and will be sent passes in homeroom to meet with their guidance counselors to schedule for next year. If the time the counselor sets to meet interferes with labs, tests, or classes which the student needs to attend, they must contact their counselor for rescheduling as soon as possible. Guidance counselor, Mr. Vanny, told us why it was so vital that the students return their signed course selection sheets by the due date.
Scheduling has begun in earnest already. The deadline for scheduling submission is March 30th, although we're certainly encouraging all of our students to get it in prior to that. After March 30th, the counselors will essentially be locked out of the process, and then students would have to schedule either through one of the supervisors or wait until their course selection came out. We've been told, counselors have been told, that if students don't submit by March 30th, we'll simply pick the next level of courses so that we can put something in the computer to allow the courses to be run. The schedule is truly student-driven. If, for example, you were willing to get 300 of your classmates to sign up for basic drafting, we would create 10 sections of basic drafting. So it's important that students get this in as soon as possible, because if you want the courses, and I understand that some students really want certain courses, that's driven by the number of students that sign up. If not enough students sign up for the classes, then we can't have those courses. There are a number of courses for upperclassmen in particular for which this is absolutely critical. There are some classes, honors and AP courses, that don't run every year because we just don't get enough people who sign up for them. We haven't had an AP computer science course, for example, for the past 3 years. So juniors and seniors, rising juniors and seniors in particular, those of you who have more choices than others, it's really important for you to get this stuff in ahead of time. If you don't hear from your counselor by roughly about the middle of March, make sure you come down and fill out a slip for your counselor so that you can get in and pick your courses.
Thanks to Mr. Vanny, and remember, students, to have your sheets signed and returned by March 30th. Also, as you may know, February is Black History Month. Here at West, many classes and activities emphasized on Black History Month. One of these classes was Mr. Sleet's 3A English class. In his English class, the students read the narrative of the life of Frederick Douglass as a part of their Civil War literature. Frederick Douglass wrote an autobiography in 1845. Douglass was an escaped slave that traveled to the North and learned how to read and write. In the book, Douglass describes himself when he was a young slave. Also, it describes Douglass's journey from slavery to freedom. We decided to ask some students what they thought about the narrative.
I feel that Douglas's account of life as a slave was a masterpiece, not only because of the substance, but also of how it was so well written and well thought out.
I learned that Douglas said that slaveholders feared power. So when he started to learn, they feared him, and he said knowledge is power.
Frederick Douglass for what he did, because the slave owners didn't even want the slaves to be educated at all, and he teaches himself how to read and write.
Frederick Douglass, it changed my point of view on slavery, and I never knew how tough it was on the slaves back then and the African Americans.
So Chris, how did the swim teams do in their meet?
Well, they did very well. The boys swim team won the Public A state championship Sunday morning. They defeated Westfield by a score of 89 to 81. West was carried by the courageous performance of Mark Grabowski, who swam with a herniated disc in his back. Austin Thomas and Giuseppe Safos also stepped up. Thomas won the 50-yard freestyle and the 100-yard butterfly, and Safos came back to take second place in the 100-yard breaststroke. The relay of Austin Thomas, Mark Desi, Jason Mattingly, and Mark Grabowski clinched the meet for the Lions. Let's take you to that race. were also able to catch up with the boys swim coach, Miss Nallman, to get her reaction.
All right, well, I guess I'll start out with this season. There was our captains, AJ Merskavich, Eric Fletcher, and Mark Grabowski, who helped lead this team to where we are today, which is state champions for the year 2007. The three of those boys completely led this team. They got them up excited, not only in the water, but outside of the water, cheering everyone on. There was some problems at the beginning of the season with people being injured or missing meets for other swim programs and stuff. So we had 3 losses, I believe, this year to Haddonfield, Bishop Eustace, and Cherry Hill East. One of the reasons that we lost some of those meets were because of diving. We had no divers this year, and actually Bo Samatello stepped up in one of the meets and he dove for us, so that way we could pick up a few extra points. Starting in playoffs, so we just wanted it. Last year they made it to the state finals and ended up losing by just a few points. I believe it came down to the 400 freestyle relay. And this year, that kind of fueled everything that happened. They wanted it this year. They wanted to be state champs. Also, last year this past summer, in fact, they had Jeff Miller, a senior graduate, pass away. And they kind of wanted to win this season for him as well. So everything they did was, everyone hoped that he was behind them, leading the way, cheering them on. So that was another reason that they wanted to win besides last year's defeat in the state finals. We had, excellent swimmers. We have all of our seniors stepped it up this year, especially in playoffs meets, such as Ryan Bubser won the best time of the 59, Tom DeCourcy won the best time of 51.07 in the 100 freestyle. All of them ended up placing for us in the meet, which helped step it up. You had Pat Carey in medley relay. He's a breaststroker for us. He swam phenomenal as well. There was, again, AJ and Eric, who were the captains, stepped it up in the relays, got us some points. What other seniors do we have? It was Andrew Howald. He swims backstroke in the medley relay with Pat Carey, actually, as well. And again, every meet they're up there, and as soon as they're finished their events, they're up cheering everyone else on.
Thank you, Miss Nallman, and congratulations to the boys, and good luck next season. The girls swim team also made it to the state tournament, but they were defeated by West Windsor, Plainsboro South on Thursday, February 22nd. Congratulations to the girls on a great season, and best of luck next year. As you can see from the footage, the fields are wet and cold, but the spring sports season will start Friday, March 2nd. Make sure you have your physicals and permission slips into the nurse by that date. If you don't have the proper paperwork in, you will not be allowed to practice. Stay tuned to future West reports for further information on our spring sports teams. So, Cheese, how does West feel about the new Iraq troop surge?
Well, last week, British Prime Minister Tony Blair announced a plan for a gradual withdrawal of British troops in Iraq. There are about 3,000 British troops in Iraq currently. Mr. Blair's plan would have British troops coming home in several weeks. Then all of the British troops will be out of Iraq by the end of 2008. Here in America, people have been arguing that America should be doing the same thing as England. However, instead of bringing troops home, President Bush has decided to send 20,000 more troops into Iraq. He argues that America can leave only after securing Baghdad and the Anbar province, which in recent weeks has seen heavy fighting. We decided to ask students here at West about their opinions on the surge.
The reason why I don't want troops in Iraq is because there's no reason at all. They're just staying there to protect the oil company.
I think the fact that we have troops in Iraq right now, I think is a bad idea. Honestly, I don't agree with it. Any more troops, I think it would be a bad idea because we've been up there for maybe 3 or 4 years, 5 years, something like that, and nothing has gotten done.
I disagree with the troops in Iraq because I think 1 million lives is not worth one death of an Iraqi.
We also had the chance to talk to Mrs. Miradiri, the student activities director here at West, whose son is currently serving in Iraq, how she felt about the surge.
I really don't think that the troop surge is a very good policy for the United States right now. I don't think we've accomplished what we wanted to do in the first place over there. I don't see how sending more guys and gals over there will accomplish that. And then on a personal level, my son is in the military, and he's already been over there twice. And I'd just like to see him and all of his, the people that he works with, home and safe. Chris is a graduate of West in '92. He's up in the Hall of Fame. But he went to the Naval Academy. This is a non-flying billet, and he puts the planes up in the air right now. He brings them in. He's in charge of catching the tail hook, and he's in charge of making sure that the catapults are working to put it off the boat and make sure it goes up in the air.
Finally, we also had a chance to talk to Major Skelly, the ROTC teacher here at West, about his opinion on the troop surge.
Hi, I'm Major Skelly. I'm the senior aerospace science instructor here, commonly known as Junior ROTC. And I was asked today my opinion on what's been going on in Iraq with the troop surge and our troops, whether we should pull out or we should stay. I think the people are over there trying to do a job that's a dirty job. We don't like to see people get killed. We've been at a stalemate for the last couple months, so the president's trying something different. He's trying to surge. What I think he should do is give it a chance, try it, but have a definite timetable that if it's not working and it doesn't look like it's working, then we should develop a plan to strengthen the Iraqi forces and us start a gradual withdrawal to come home. That's how I feel on it. And gals that are over there fighting and hope that they have Godspeed and stay out of harm's way.
Finally, for this week's news, this is a reminder to all students and parents that next week on March 5th, 6th, 7th, and 8th, the state of New Jersey will administer the high school proficiency assessment to all high school juniors. The assessment is a graduation requirement for all high school graduates in the state of New Jersey. The juniors are required to report to school at 8 o'clock. The other classes will be picked up from their bus stops 2.5 hours later than normal. Thanks for watching the West Report. I'm Parth Patel.
I'm Chris Ullman.
Please join us next week for another edition of the West Report.